Welcome back to Powered by Primus, and in today's video we're going to be going over a couple of things, but I wanted to start out with an announcement, and that announcement is for our next giveaway. Now, I originally asked the Facebook group for a character that they'd want to see me do some custom art for, and Starscream was the winner of that one. There were quite a bit of people who were requesting Starscream, so I'll be showing you guys some really awesome Starscream art here in just a second. Now, it's not finished yet. I do have some more things that I want to do to it. I'm also going to add the alt mode to it as well, but I'm going to have you guys pick out which Autobot character, which Autobot character I'm going to be doing some custom art for. So make sure you guys head down to the comment section below and you let me know which Autobot that you would like for me to see do some art on. Now, I know a lot of people want Unicron. I'm going to tell you guys, I got something in the works for Unicron, so don't worry about that. You guys will definitely be seeing that down the road, but definitely, like I said, go down in the comment section and put in which Autobot character you'd like to see. Now, I do have a surprise for the giveaway. I'm not going to tell you guys until I do the official giveaway announcement, but the majority of people that I've talked to and that I remember I previously did on our giveaway really want playmats. So we're going to be doing playmats as giveaways. I don't know how many I'm going to do yet, but I will tell you guys that you guys also will be able to purchase these playmats as well. So even if you're not one of the winners for it, it'll still be able to be picked up by you, and it'll be for a basic cost. I'm guessing between 20 and 25 bucks is where I'm going to try to keep it as best for you guys as I can. If I can go lower, obviously I will, but I'm going to probably be doing between 5 to 10 is giveaway. Is really my goal for what I'm going to try to do for you guys. So let's go ahead and check out the Starscream art real quick. So there it is. I think it's pretty awesome work. Like I said, I'm not quite done yet. I've asked for tons and tons of opinions off of Reddit, Facebook, and a bunch of other stuff, friends and all that, who absolutely love the art. So I'm really, really excited to be able to do this stuff, and I feel like I have a little bit of a talent in it, so I definitely want to be able to give things to you guys. We're now over 800 subs, which is so fantastic, and it's been a while since my last giveaway, and it's the way that I show my appreciation to you guys for being subs and being an awesome, awesome community. So that is going to be that. Like I said, make sure you guys head down to the comment section and drop in your Autobot that you guys would like to see, or you will not get that character. Or I guess, you know, if there's less people voting for it, I'm probably going to go for the one that's more requested. So make sure you guys head down there and check that out. Now, the other thing I'm going to try to be giving away is sleeves. Now, I did find a company that can make them. They can put art on there, so I'm trying to mess around with that a little bit. I'm going to have some of it come in. I'm going to look at the quality, and if it's something that I feel like can actually last a while, then I'm going to be doing some giveaway on some sleeves as well. But if I can't find a place that delivers good enough quality that I really want to give you guys, then I'm probably not going to allow that in the giveaway. And then I do have a secret giveaway. It's going to be a one of in the giveaway. So that's going to be very special and very specific, which is really, really exciting. I'm really excited to give that away. So make sure you guys obviously come back to the channel later on. I'm really planning on doing this a week from now. You guys are obviously going to tell me all of your characters down below. I'm probably going to wait about 3 or 4 days to get all the comments in on it, see which character pops up the most so I can start the art on it, because obviously it takes some time. And then we can get into all of that good stuff. So hopefully by Friday next week, I'll be able to do the announcement for the next giveaway and give that window. So it'll be pretty awesome. Anyway, let's get into today's video, which we're going to be talking about sideboards. It is a really big conversation all over the place. Some people freak out about it, some people love it, some people hate it. But honestly, it's a good thing. So I'm going to give you guys all of my opinions on it. I'm going to tell you guys how to build a sideboard correctly, or a better way to build your sideboard, and then show you guys some cards that did get spoiled yesterday, which are really going to be nice cards to put into your sideboard. Now, before we get into the sideboarding, I wanted to talk about meta. Now, this is something that I feel like we use incorrectly with this game and can really vary in multiple ways. Now, when someone goes, oh, that deck is meta, I don't know if you can say that it is. Until we've started getting more tournaments, especially now that we have organized play, until we start to get the results of those, which Origins results are going to have stuff that's only access to Wave 2, and then Gen Con, we're going to have access to Wave 3, so it's going to be completely different things that you're going to see pop up. But meta, by definition, is most effective tactic available. Now, what this can mean is quite a bit of different things, but your meta in your area may be Dinobots and RC decks. Maybe that is your meta. You don't have people who are playing Sentinels or Superion or Too Tall Primes, and maybe in your area, that's all you play up against, is those kind of things. Whereas in my area, we primarily have heavy blue, and we don't really see a lot of Superion. There's been a few. We don't really see a lot of Sentinels. We don't see these Too Tall Prime lists. Our decks are so drastically different, and it's really kind of a shocker every single week that I show up to a competitive tournament, like on our Saturdays or on our Wednesdays, and I sit down across from someone and they put down a team, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Because my meta has still a lot of exploration in it, and we're always still trying to find something new, something cool. We'll sometimes play a deck and be like, oh, that was fun, I won, but now I'm going to go play something different. So it's really hard to build a deck in my meta because you have no idea what you're going to play up against next week. So it gets really interesting. Whereas if we were all playing the same decks every single week, our meta would be completely different, and I'd be able to go, oh, I know this deck's really good because Bob and Joe are running this, you know what I mean, whatever the case may be. So I wanted to say that meta decks are subjective currently. Like I said, I don't think there's a best deck. I don't think that there is a tier list for decks yet. Now, I will say that there are decks that are more powerful and they are better against a wide range of stuff. Like, I know Sentinels are a fantastic team, and you can take that deck to most places and do really well with it because the deck is really consistent, especially if you're piloting it correctly. It has a really good matchup against most things. Whereas I'll guarantee you, I could take Sentinels to some of our weekends, and it would just get destroyed because it's just not positioned well. The decks that it's going up against, it doesn't really have an answer to. Same thing can go for Superion, where we'll play a Superion one night and be like, man, that thing was really cool, and then show up next week, and it just gets whomped. It's the way it works. So the reason why I bring this up is because sideboarding is based on your meta. Now, I would always suggest when it comes to sideboarding that your sideboard essentially is an extension of your deck. It is 10 cards and one character card that you keep on the side of your deck, and you will refer to this come game 2 or possibly game 3. Now, before we get into reasoning behind all of that stuff, let's talk about the sideboard. Sideboard is, like I said, 10 cards. You can't have the same battle cards or have more than 3 copies of each battle card that are also in your main deck. So you can't have 3 security checkpoints in your main deck, and you can't have 3 security checkpoints also in your sideboard. Now you can have 1 in your main and 2 in your sideboard. That's fine. You still have to follow all deck rules as far as your starting team being at and your deck being at a maximum of 25 stars. Now, they also did say that you can have 1 character card in your sideboard up to 20 stars. Now, I want to clear up a couple of questions that everyone's been having about it, is you can swap out either a character from your main and put in another character, and then as long as you are still following the rules of 25 star between your deck and your team maximum, you're okay. But you can also take out 2 characters from your starting lineup for 1 sideboarded character, and that still works as long as you're, again, following the rules of having 25 star deck and team maximum. Now, the way I always build my decks is that my main deck, I always start with what my deck is supposed to do. And this is how I'll always start building all of my decks, is I'll look at my team, which is revolved around whatever the theme is. Let's say it's Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, and then my theme is built around just getting awesome action cards, or it's a burn deck, and that's the route that I'm kind of going. Or if I'm on Insecticons and I'm really wanting to be super aggressive and that's what I want the deck to do, then I'll start to build to support that theme. For the Insecticons, I'll stack, the double oranges, I'll put like Reckless Charge for more attack, I'll put in some bold, I'll put in grenade launchers, and I'll really start to hone in on what I want the deck to do. The next thing that I'll do is after I refine that list and get the list that I'm really feeling, I'll then look and see how much space I have. And let's say I have 7 cards space left after I've guaranteed all of the other cards. I have 33 cards that I know have to be in the list, and I have 7 that are flexible. So what I'll do is I'll use those flexible cards against the worst deck that I could come up against. and not the worst as far as like something that I know I'm just going to blow out of the water, I'm just going to run it over. What would be the worst thing I'd come up against? And that'd probably be tough, heavy blue, right? If I'm going up against another Insecticon list, even if we're running, aggressive versus aggressive, then it can come down to who goes first and who gets better flips, who gets better weapons. So I can easily sideboard for some of that. But if I go up against someone who has armor and they get like tough 4, or like I'll show you guys here in a second, tough 3, I could really put a dent in how much damage I'm doing because I really need to maximize how much damage I do in a turn. If I go to attack for 15 and my opponent blocks 11 of it and only takes 4, I'm in a lot of trouble. So what I'll do then is use those 7 cards to kind of fill against that worst stuff. Okay, well, what's the worst? Okay, well, we got tough. Well, what gives tough? Armor. Great. What are some orange cards that I can put in my list that really be able to take advantage of breaking armors? Oh, well, Bashing Shield. That's a great card, and it's a green pip, so even if I don't come across it, then I can just let the card keep going and not have to fish it out after flipping it. It's amazing. Ramming Speed's another one that's really good. That's an orange card, so that's not going to hurt me on a flip, and then that just gets to scrap an enemy upgrade. Well, I can totally target an armor. Okay, well, how many should I put in there? Well, Bashing Shield's a green pip, so I can put in 1, I can even put in 2. How much do I play at my local game store? That's where I incorporate my meta. Now, like I said, if you go to a game store and you play week and week and week and you rarely ever see armors, well, then there's really not a big point for you to main board a bunch of armors. Now, if you're going to a big tournament like Origin or Gen Con, then you have a little bit of a different conversation. We can go into a competitive thing later on. But as far as your local game store when it comes to the sideboardings, how often do you come across it? Now, if every single week you're like, man, everybody runs armors, they're everywhere, well, then maybe I'd run 2 Bashing Shields because now you have 2 green pips and you can still, like I said, fish them up whenever you want. So now you've already filled 2 of those slots. Now you still have 5 left that you can mess around with. Or if you're like, hey, I don't think 2 is enough, but I don't want to run 3, that's a lot. So maybe I'll put in a Ramming Speed, which is an action, and that's an orange pip as well. So now you have 3 cards that are taken care of. And then you can go, okay, well, what's the next thing that really hurts me? Is, if I'm playing up against another heavy orange list and they just get better weapons or they get access to more stuff faster, okay, well, maybe I should include some draw cards in the list. All right, well, Incoming Transmission's a great card that allows me to help me go through 2 and then I can stack 1 on top so I can put that double orange on top if I need it. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Or what about Treasure Hunt? Treasure Hunt could be a super solid card in the main board. That allows me to flip the top 4 and put all upgrades into my hand. If I happen to flip 2 grenade launchers or whatever the case, static laser of Ironhide, whatever the case may be, is now I have access to more weapons than my opponent, and then I can really try to run that race. So that's how I'll always build my main deck. Now when it comes to the sideboard, is I still want to support what my deck is doing, but I want to be able to respond to what my opponent is doing more. Now, winning game 1 when there are sideboards included is really important. If you lose game 1, you're still okay. Game 1 primarily is the discovery phase. You're trying to discover what your opponent has. You're trying to make sure you look into their scrap piles, see what they're flipping, what is their deck trying to do, and then obviously just trying to win your first game. If you can get game 1 out of the way as a win, you still have 2 more games of sideboarding to really seal the deal, which is awesome. However, if you lose game 1, you have 2 tougher matches of sideboarding to try to make sure that you board correctly to take the next 2 games, which is obviously a lot harder than relying on only needing 1 win. You need 2 wins. Now, the way that they have the structure set up for sideboarding is interesting, but I understand it. Whereas if, let's say, I win the game, then I have to sideboard first. I have to then declare if I want to make a swap in my sideboard as far as character goes. I have to present those characters to my opponent, and then I sideboard my cards, and then my opponent gets to go. And it gives the loser a better chance of winning come game 2. They can go, oh, okay, he took out... Let's say he took out his Nemesis Prime and put in this other character. Okay, well, let's say he put in a Bumblebee. And you're like, all right, well, now I know that he has only Autobots, so obviously these Noble Blasters are just really not as good because, yeah, they still give me +2 attack. They're not going to give me Pierce anymore. Same thing with this Press the Advantage. It gives me +2 attack, which is kind of cool, but now I don't get the -2 on an enemy Decepticon. So are these cards really useful in my main board anymore? And the answer, maybe yes. If you're a heavy orange or you're relying on a race, then maybe you'll keep them in. But for the most part, you're going to be like, oh man, these cards kind of suck. I'm going to take them out. Those are easy cards to take out because they don't benefit me fighting my opponent next game. If I draw it, How good is it? Is +2 good enough? The answer is probably no. You know what I mean? Or, hey, is this card going to be good enough? Oh, I can't do Pierce anymore. He runs so much armor. This is kind of a dumb card. I don't need this anymore. Then it should be going into your sideboard. That is the part in which you now go into your sideboard and try to pull out cards from your sideboard that are going to help you advance while also trying to help your opponent not advance, if that makes sense. So let's say in that scenario, they're running tons of armor. You only have a couple of responses in your main board, and in your meta, like I said, you have tons of armor. Well, then I would have more responses for armor in my sideboard. So then come game 2, and I'm like, man, I even went through one of my bashing shields, and he still had a bunch of armor. I need to bring in more ramming speeds, or I need to bring in more bashing shields to be able to accommodate for this. Then those are great cards. But let's say that race, same situation. Maybe we're playing Insecticon versus Insecticon, and man, he's getting more weapons out than me, and they're just doing more damage over time, or maybe that Energon Axe that he has is just beating me up, and I have these bashing shields in there that can't target it. Well, maybe you should put an Enforcement Batons in your sideboard. That's a green pip, and that allows you to, when you play it, you get to break an enemy upgrade, or an enemy weapon, which is really nice. That's what you want to do. So maybe have one of those in your sideboard. So the ultimate thing I'm talking about here with sideboards is being able to respond to your meta that you're going to be going up against. Main deck, always build against the thing that'll hurt you the most. If an espionage from your opponent is just going to wreck you, if a control player running Superion is just going to wreck you, or something that just draws a million cards in a turn is just going to destroy you, then make sure you put something in your main deck that can fight that. Put in disruptive entrances, put in espionages, put in security checkpoints, put in whatever you can do. There's even orange cards that allow you to make your opponent scrap as well, as long as you have ranged characters. So there are multiple ways of being able to do things, and if you ever need to scrap character cards, or scrap cards, just go with espionage. The card is amazing, and it's green. So just build your main deck to fight that. But also don't build your main deck for something you're probably not going to fight. Something you're not going to see at the tables. Don't go, oh, well, if I go up against Superion, I need to put this in, when you know no one in your locals runs Superion. You're kind of killing yourself in that situation. So always build for what is against your meta. Let's say you always play, and there's always that guy that runs Dinobots, and always that guy that runs Metroplex, and always that guy that runs Omega Supreme. Then you can start to build to be able to beat those characters in your main. Now let's say you build your 40 cards, and they're all cards you need. There's no space left. Perfect. Then you use your sideboard as those additional cards. Say, okay, against Metroplex, what kills me? Oh, how many times he gets bold? Okay, well, how can I try to stop that? Okay, well, maybe Espionage is going to be your card to be able to, strip some of those bold away, or maybe those little characters are super annoying, or you're going up against Constructicons all the time. Maybe Photon Bomb is a really good card to put in your sideboard that does 2 to everybody, and it's allowing you to be able to fight a deck that you normally wouldn't be able to main board. That's the thing that I love about introducing sideboards, is that it allows us to now play the game. I know it sounds really strange, but one big argument coming wave 1 and wave 2 when you were building these decks is that you had to build a deck to be able to fight everything. And people always be like, oh, well, it's just deck construction. You're not building your deck good enough if you can't play this person, this person, this person, this person. Well, there's a reason why they invented sideboards in card games. It's because you can't. Sometimes you just sit down to play a game, and you look at your opponent's side of the table, and they are running literally the deck that beats you, and you just would lose the game. No matter how well you could pilot it, if they also piloted it well, you just had like an 80% just loss rate. You were just going down. Sideboard now increases that chance, because now you can try to pull in cards to fight that specific opponent. And they already have a good chance against you, so now you have a more even playing field. Yeah, they're going to be able to sideboard, and you probably still have a lower matchup win rate against them, but it's still increased now, because now you have the ability to build a sideboard to give you a chance, whereas before, you were just out. The other thing I love about sideboards is it allows your deck, your main deck, to do exactly what you want. It's the one thing that I've been wanting to do, is sometimes I'm like, I really want to play this character, but if they run this card, this card, this card, or this card, I'm dead. And I just lose 2 games, and now I'm out the tournament. If I lose round 1, there's no chance of me coming back, which super, super sucks. Now, the next thing I want to talk about with sideboards is targeted hate. Now, stuff like this, silver bullets, as people call them, these are the perfect spots for those kind of cards. Now a silver bullet is like a couple of the cards from the new wave where it's like your opponent can't flip more than 4 cards in a turn. It really shuts down bold. Or maybe you have a couple of these ones that I'm going to show you guys here in just a second that really target a specific character. These ones are going to be perfect for your sideboard because it allows you to not have to worry about it main deck, and you can kind of just do your thing. And then if you happen to go up against one of these scenarios, then you can just pull those cards out, and now those silver bullets become way better because you know your opponent has it, and now you can target it versus it being more of a mass group kind of a thing. Now let's get into the first one here. I've got them all on my computer because they did get spoiled today, so I'm going to be showing off some of these things. Now they are all blue-green pips, which is really nice. They're all revolving around armor, which is really nice as well. This is something that I was really wanting to see early on, and it's perfect timing, I said, especially with the introduction of sideboards. Now I'm going to show them all on the screen as well, so you guys can obviously follow along with me, but first one we're going to look at is going to be Covert Armor. Now, like I said, it's a blue-green battle icon. It's an upgrade armor. It does give +1 armor, but it says to put on melee characters only. While the upgraded character is defending against a specialist, the upgraded character has another +1. So this would give you +2 armor if you are defending against a specialist. Now I hope you guys can see the kind of targeted hate I was talking about with this. If you're running melee characters and you don't want to have armor in your list, or you're running, let's just say, reinforced platings, then that's perfectly fine in your main board. But then let's say you go up against someone that's got specialist cards. Well, we can sideboard these things in. They do real nice because they're green, so even if our opponent does respond, breaks it, and gets shuffled back in, and then we have the chance to see it again, and this thing is going to give us +2 armor against those characters, which is super, super awesome. Next one we got is Extra Padding. Now this is one that I've been waiting for a long time. I think this one is super, super good. Blue and a green battle icon again. It is an armor. It has tough 1, which on the surface you're like, well, tough 1. We have tons of armors that give more than tough 1. There's a twist to this one. When you put this on a character, you may play another extra padding, and you can have up to 3 extra paddings in 1 armor slot. That's cool. So this gives you tough 3 if you happen to play all 3 of them, like Sonic Scrambled or Focus Fire. It allows you to play another one, which is the most important part of the card. Right now, we'll go to play an armor, and then you can't play another armor, so if your opponent has a response, you always get that 1-for-1. They have to spend a card to get rid of your armor, and you're kind of back to that base. Whereas this one, if you can play all 3, and even if your opponent does play a Bashing Shield, they're only breaking 1 of them. So you still have tough 2, and they've lost their Bashing Shield proc. You're in a really good spot. The fact that your opponent would have to spend possibly 3 removals to get rid of your tough is so good, and especially how this doesn't take 3 turns like Cargo Trailer to set up, which is really unfortunate. If you guys ever have the chance to remake Cargo Trailer, add a green pip, card would be amazing. But with it being a blue and a green, we can fish it. We can play multiples in a turn, which is really nice. The new Megatron is going to absolutely love having this card at the beginning of your turn if you have 5 or more upgrades. This is 3 of them. Dreadwing is going to love this. If you can have 3 of these in 1 armor slot and then have a force field or have a reinforced plating or sparring gear, tough 5, that's crazy. You wouldn't want to go crazy and you put in like superior plating on that character and he has tough 7. Whew. Next one is Reflex Circuits. Now this one is also blue and green, like I've said on all of them. Armor, it says put on ranged characters, and it says while it is defending against a melee character, you get an additional +1, so that gives you +2 armor, and again, really targeted. These are the kind of cards that, depending on what your meta has more of, these cards are going to be really nice to have in your sideboard. Even as one-ofs, these are going to be really nice because they do come with that green pip. If it was just blue, they would be significantly worse. So big shout out to the develop team for putting the green pips on there. Super, super awesome stuff. Really makes these cards actually viable. And then finally we have Sturdy Armor, which is a blue and a green. It says put on specialists only, and it says while the upgraded character is defending against a range enemy, they get +1 armor, so you'll get +2. Now, even if you don't go up against those characters and you want to try to main board these, you totally can. Extra Padding, I think, is a card that you can always main board. I think it's a super, super solid armor. I'll be playing it quite a bit. Big fan of it. But any of the other ones, the Covert, the Sturdy Armor, all of those you can mainboard, but they're just armors that give you +1 that you can pick up with the green. So they're still not bad, but I would definitely say that these cards specifically should be placed for your sideboard and brought in those specialty situations, in those perfect scenarios when you know your opponent is running one of those specific cards. So ultimately, I'm a fan of sideboards. I've spent a lot of time playing with sideboards from Yu-Gi-Oh! And many, many, many years in Magic. And as much as I feel that there is a difference with sideboards because this game revolves around flipping, which makes a huge difference, it is very vital to competitive play. And it seems like that's the route that they're going more of by introducing these events. And I'm really happy for it. I do like it overall. Like I said, I have tons and tons of experience in it, and I think that it is overall healthy and good for the game. There are some tricks. I'm going to be showing you guys one today, and I think I'm going to kind of add more and more throughout time to really help you guys, because I feel like there is definitely a learning curve to a sideboard, but there's also a lot of fun to learning a sideboard. So I don't want to take all the fun out of it. I want you guys to explore, and I want you guys to figure out some of these things for yourself. What I'm going to be doing today is showing you guys a secret on how to throw off your opponent when it comes to sideboarding. Now, this may not seem like a really big trick, but sometimes it can really make a huge difference, and it is definitely, I don't want to say a pro secret, but it is definitely more used amongst the higher ranks of players. So let's show it. All right, so the trick I'm going to be showing you guys today involves the sideboard that we talked about, and what I want to talk about specifically first is throwing off your opponent when it comes to sideboarding. Now, what will happen in most situations and most players, after the game goes over, they'll go over here, and let's say they want to take out those 3 cards, they'll open up their sideboard and say, I'm going to put in those 3 cards, and they'll get to put those in the bottom, and they'll start shuffling and not really know or understand what they just did. Now, what will happen is that your opponent, or even if your opponent is doing this and they get to go first on the sideboarding, you get to see that they sideboarded in 3 cards. Now you can start to think about, what are those 3 cards that they're going to put in there that's going to do well against me? This is their team. This is what they have. Okay, I think that they put in Start Your Engines as their sideboard. I didn't see it in the main board. They're going to maybe put it in the sideboard now. He just brought in a car. He's going to do some crazy shenanigans with it. How can I avoid this? Oh, maybe let me put in espionages, or let me make him go second so he doesn't have the chance to untap a character. It can really change the dynamic of the game. But what you could also do, which is going to be the trick I'm going to show you guys today, is how to throw off your opponent and not let them see what you sideboard. Now let's say that this is my sideboard, all of these fancy cards. I know what's in here. Now I know I only want to put in these 3, but I don't want my opponent to know that. So what I'll do is I'll take all of these cards, I'll take my deck, and I will shuffle them all into my deck. Now I already know what I'm going to be taking out of the deck and what I'm going to be putting in. This is the part I was talking about as far as really knowing your deck and understanding what's in your sideboard and what's in your main deck so you can do this. Once you finish that step, now you can go through and take out all the cards. There's one I wanted in there that I didn't want in. We're going to go through here, go through here, go through here, and then I know I have 2 team-up tactics left in the main that I want to take out. There's 1, and there's 2. So now I have just the 3 that I wanted to add in the deck. I still have to take out 3 cards that I don't want in the list in order to swap in for those 3. Let's say I took out a Decepticon and put in an Autobot. But let's say my opponent's running a bunch of Autobots, so none of these cards are really going to work. And then I'm going to go through and take out those 3. Now I am back to my 40 cards, which is fitting, and then now my opponent has no idea what I sideboarded in or what I sideboarded out. I could have taken in, could have put in 5 cards and taken out 5 cards. I could have also put in 0 and pulled out the original entire sideboard and not sideboarded any cards because I feel like my main deck was good enough and I just wanted to throw them off. So that's just a fun little trick that I did learn a really long time ago. It works extremely well. Like I said, the thing that you just have to understand is knowing what you're going to be adding and what you're going to be taking out
So when you do always shuffle that stuff in, you can then go back out effectively rather than going back out and trying to like count, and then you're kind of in the same boat you were beforehand. Now, all the time, this isn't necessary. High level of play, it is something that I would always do, especially now that sideboards are in. It is really cool to do. Like I said, it's really nice at throwing off your opponent because they have no idea what you now put into your deck and really have to play on what just is going to benefit them, and then have to possibly go into a game 3 to be able to respond to what you sideboarded in, which is really, really powerful. Let's say you win game 1. Game 2, your opponent doesn't know what you sideboard in, and you know, taking game 2, your opponent never has a chance to respond to your sideboard, which is obviously really powerful.
Alright, well there you guys have it. There's just my opinions, some cool tips and tricks on a sideboard, how to better manage your sideboard. If you guys do have any questions about this, you guys are obviously more than welcome to contact me through all of our various ways, or you can even go down to the comment section and also drop a comment, and I will obviously respond to you guys as well. But make sure you guys go down to the comment section, you guys drop in which Autobot you guys want to see for those awesome giveaways coming up here soon. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.